More than 6,600 homes are set to exit a rental affordability scheme. The program, which was axed in 2014, provides annual subsidies of almost $11,000 for 10 years to property owners who rented out newly built dwellings at 20% than the market rate. The exodus has housing authorities worried more Australians will be faced with homelessness. 18,000 homes still remain in the scheme, which will finish in 2026. Joining us live now for more on this is Maiy Azize, spokeswoman of Everybody's Home. Maiy, thank you for your time. What's the solution here? How should Australia be really addressing this rental and social housing crisis?
Well, as you say, this scheme is going to see 6,600 affordable rentals be wiped from the market just this year, and we're going to see 36,000 affordable rentals be wiped from the market by the time the scheme finally winds down in 2026. So what we're calling on the federal government to do is invest in social housing. We're calling on the federal government to start building 25,000 social homes every year for the next 20 years, and that's just all we need to do just to plug the shortfall. So we're calling on the government to scale up their ambition. At the moment, they're pledging to build 20,000 homes over the next 5 years, and that's a real drop in the ocean compared to what the need is. So we're really calling on them to scale up their ambition and meet the moment.
So 25,000 new social homes each year. Is that number realistic? Obviously, it's a great goal, but is it achievable, and how do we get there?
Well, it's the minimum of what we need to do to build the shortfall. So unfortunately, this problem has been getting so bad for so long that that's just the situation that we're in. It's actually been quite a recent phenomenon that federal governments have walked away from social housing. Right up until about 35 years ago, directly supplying social and affordable homes was the government's main intervention in the housing affordability space. And since they've walked away from that approach, we've seen the market become less and less affordable, and we've seen this shortfall grow and grow. So it is a big number, but unfortunately, that's the situation that we're in, and that's what the government is going to need to do to get on top of this shortfall.
So achieving it, getting to that goal, what should the government be doing? Should it be releasing more land?
What we need them to do is really take charge of the market by building social homes. So land release is something that developers want for building homes in the private market. And we've seen that about 1 million new homes have been constructed in the past 5 years privately, but that hasn't made the market any more affordable. So yep, that's one thing the government could be doing. But to get to these social homes, what we need them to be doing is making a real investment out of the budget. So the current government has committed, as I said earlier, to building 20,000 homes, but they're doing that what's called off budget. They're investing money and they're using the returns to build social homes. But what we're telling them is that this is not a crisis that can be solved off budget. They're going to need to make a real investment.
Across Australia, it looks like Queensland's going to be the hardest hit after losing almost 2,500 homes from this rental scheme. Should the government be placing more focus, more attention on Queensland?
We know that Queensland has a really tight rental market. It also has a very low vacancy rate. So absolutely, these homes should go where the need is. There is an enormous need at the moment in Queensland. There's also quite an enormous need across the country just because the shortfall is so great. But yes, we do know that conditions in the Queensland rental market are especially tight, and they are going to be losing a disproportionate number of homes from this scheme.
Maiy, I want to get your thoughts on New South Wales. Opposition leader Chris Minns has unveiled his housing policy, of course, ahead of the state election in March. And his policy removes stamp duty on properties costing $800,000 for first home buyers. Is this a good idea? Do you support the proposal?
What these types of measures do is they help individuals in the moment, but they continue to overheat the market. So for the past 35 years, as I've mentioned, the approach from governments has been what we call demand-side help with things like support for first home buyers, and that can help an individual in a tight market at that moment, but it does contribute to overheating the market over the long term. So what we'd be calling for is for them to look at interventions that could make the market overall more affordable, and that can be things like an investment in social housing, but it could also be improving conditions for renters and putting some more regulations on how landlords can raise rents.
Is there a big difference between Chris Minns' policy and the one that was introduced by Dominic Perrottet, who's removed stamp duty for first home buyers, and they can instead opt in and pay a land tax as long as the property is under 1.5 million?
It's an extension of the same approach. It's an extension of that same demand-side intervention approach that says that you help individuals in the moment, but you don't really make interventions to make the market as a whole more affordable. So it's not exactly the same, but it's an extension of the same approach.
Maiy Azize, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.